What if the biggest thing missing from your retirement is not money, but meaning? You have spent your entire life showing up for your children, your spouse, your coworkers, your community. You have saved, supported, sacrificed. And now, here you are in this so-called golden chapter, wondering why it feels more quiet than golden. You were told retirement was supposed to be freedom. Freedom from work, from stress, from schedules. But no one ever explained what to do with all this new space in your life. The house feels too quiet, the calendar too empty. And if you're honest, some days feel more like you're floating than living. I want you to know, nothing is wrong with you. In fact, what you are feeling is more common than you might think. And today, we're going to talk about it. Not about money or stocks or how to stretch your savings. No. Today we're going to talk about what really matters: meaning, connection, and rediscovering yourself after decades of caring for everyone else. Because the truth is, retirement is not the end of your story. It is the beginning of your rediscovery. 1. The silent struggle. Let me tell you a story about someone I know. Her name is Linda. She's 70 years old, retired, financially stable, and living in a quiet neighborhood not too far from her children. From the outside, everything looks just fine. Linda has what many people would call a good retirement. No debt. Enough in her savings. Her kids are grown and doing well. But inside, Linda feels something that's hard to describe. A kind of emptiness. Not depression exactly. Just a sense that something's missing. She wakes up each day with no real plan. She drinks her coffee, maybe watches the news. She checks her email. She might scroll through Facebook, then glance at her bank account. Again, just to be sure everything's still there. And the rest of the day? She fills it with small chores, things to keep busy. But there's no spark. No purpose. Linda's not unhappy, but she's not alive in the way she thought she would be. Sound familiar? You see, women like Linda, and maybe like you, have spent a lifetime in motion, caring for others, holding it all together. And when that busyness suddenly fades, it leaves a silence that can feel unbearable. For years, your value was tied to being needed, as a mother, a wife, a coworker, a friend. And now, when the world gets quiet, so many women ask themselves, who am I now? That question is not selfish. It is sacred, and it deserves time, space, and care. Because here's the truth. This feeling you have, this quiet drift you can't quite name, it's not your fault. It is the natural result of stepping into a new chapter with no map, no guide. Just open space and old habits that no longer fit. But that's also the gift. That open space is not just emptiness. It is a canvas. A place to begin again, not as who you were, but as who you are becoming. Let's start there. 2. Why retirement feels off. We're told that retirement is a reward, a chance to finally rest after decades of hard work. And yes, you've earned your rest. But what no one prepares you for is what happens after the resting gets old. In the beginning, it feels like a vacation. You sleep in. You go out to lunch with friends. You catch up on hobbies. Maybe watch that show everyone was talking about. But after a few weeks, or maybe a few months, something shifts. That initial excitement fades. The days start to blur together. And beneath the surface, a quiet question starts to grow. Is this it? This is what I call the silent drift, a gentle, invisible slide into routine without meaning. You stay busy, yes, but not fulfilled. You feel tired, but not in the satisfying way that comes from doing something that matters. It's not laziness. It's not weakness. It's a lack of direction. Part of the problem is that for most of your life, your identity has been tied to what you do for others. You were the one who made things happen. The glue in the family. The dependable one at work. You had responsibilities, people who needed you, places to be, and now, no one needs anything. Or at least, it feels that way. But let me be clear, you are still needed, deeply, maybe even more than ever before. But the nature of how you are needed has changed. And that's where the discomfort begins. When your role in the world shifts, it can feel like your purpose has gone missing. And for many women, there's also a quiet grief that goes unspoken. Not a grief for a person, but a grief for who you used to be. The busy, confident woman with the calendar full of obligations. The problem solver, the helper, the heart of the home. Without all that, it's easy to feel invisible. That's why I want to say this to you clearly. Your worth is not tied to your productivity. Your value doesn't disappear when your schedule empties. In fact, it is in this space, this beautiful, strange in-between, that something powerful begins to awaken. This is not just a rest phase. This is a transformation phase. And just like any transformation, it feels strange, uncomfortable, even sad at times. But that discomfort? It's not a sign that something's wrong. It's a sign that something new is waiting to be born. What's often missing in this stage of life is not money, not friends, not health. It's meaning. A reason to wake up in the morning and feel excited, not just occupied. So instead of asking yourself, how do I stay busy? Ask this, what brings me to life? Because that's where we're heading next. Not into more routine, but into rediscovery. Not into filling time, but into living it. On your terms, for your joy, in your truth. You have more freedom now than ever before. And while that freedom might feel unfamiliar, it's also a doorway. Let's walk through it together. 3. From retirement to rediscovery. Let's take a moment and reimagine this season of your life. What if we stopped calling it retirement and started calling it what it really is, a rediscovery? Because that's what this chapter can be. A rediscovery of your voice, your rhythm, your passions, your relationships. Not as the woman you were in your 30s or 40s, but as the wise, beautiful, experienced woman you are now. You're not disappearing. You're not winding down. You're unfolding. And the possibilities in front of you are far greater than the world often tells women our age. See, for so long, you lived according to someone else's needs. Whether it was raising children, building a family, showing up for a job, or holding things together, your time was spent being there for others. And while that season was meaningful, it likely left very little room for you. But now, the hours are yours. The mornings are quiet. And instead of asking, what should I do today? You get to ask, what do I want today to feel like? It starts with a shift, from measuring life in tasks and time slots to measuring it in joy, meaning, and connection. This phase of life is not about keeping busy. It's about getting honest. It's about asking big, bold questions like, what have I always wanted to try? Who do I want to be now? What makes me feel alive? Not useful, not productive, but truly alive. And here's the truth. There's no wrong answer. Whether it's writing poetry, mentoring young women, learning a new language, or finally taking that road trip, if it stirs something in your heart, it matters. You don't need to justify joy. You don't need permission to begin again. You just need to believe that you're allowed to. And you are. Here's something else. The most valuable thing you have right now is not your savings. It's not your house or your health plan. It's your time. And how you use that time, how you choose to fill your hours, that's what will shape your days, your energy, and your peace. You are now time rich. And that's not a small thing. That's your superpower. So, what would it look like to honor your time? To wake up and move slowly, intentionally. To create space for new experiences, not because you have to, but because you get to. Call it the discovery years. Call it a second bloom. Call it whatever you like. Just don't call it over, because it's not. In fact, in many ways, it's just beginning. And if you're still not sure where to begin, don't worry. In the next part, I'll share real tools and gentle steps you can take, starting tomorrow morning, to help you reconnect with the most important person in your life right now, you. 4. Simple tools to begin your rediscovery. Now that we've named this season of life for what it truly is, a rediscovery, it's time to talk about how to step into it, because inspiration without action fades quickly. What you need are gentle, meaningful steps that help you reconnect with your spirit, your energy, and your joy. You don't need to overhaul your life. You don't need to create a 5-year plan. You just need to begin, slowly, intentionally, kindly. Let's talk about a few tools that can help you do just that. Tool number 1, create a simple morning ritual. Notice I said ritual, not routine. A routine is something you do because you have to. A ritual is something you do because it feeds your soul. Your mornings set the tone for your entire day. And for many women in retirement, the morning can easily slip into mindless habits. Turning on the television, checking the phone, staring out the window, wondering where the energy went. Let's change that. Start your morning with just 3 simple things. 1. Drink a full glass of water. Yes, before coffee. It wakes up your body, nourishes your brain, and gives your cells what they've needed all night. 2. Sit quietly for 5 minutes. You don't need to meditate like a monk. Just breathe. Look outside. Light a candle. Be still. 3. Write 1 sentence in a journal. It could be something you're grateful for, something you're curious about, something you want to feel that day. That's it. Water. Silence. 1 sentence. This isn't about performance. It's about presence. And over time, that presence becomes power. Because when you begin your day with intention, you set a tone of self-respect, not just self-care. Tool number 2, rediscover something you loved. There was a time, maybe long ago, when something lit you up. Maybe it was painting. Maybe it was gardening. Maybe it was dancing in your kitchen, or writing poetry, or baking bread. Then life got busy. You didn't have the time, or the space, or the permission. And so you set it down. Gently, quietly you said, maybe later. Well, now is later. This is the time to gently pick that thing back up again. Not because you want to be great at it, not because it'll make money, but because it made you smile, because it brought you back to yourself. Think about something you used to love as a girl, a young woman, or even something you've always been curious about but never dared to try. Go try it. Take a class, watch a tutorial online, visit the local library, buy the paint, the seeds, the pen, the book. You're not too old. You are right on time. Tool number 3, build deeper connections. So many women in retirement feel quietly lonely. We don't talk about it much because we've learned how to put on a good face. But under the surface, we miss the conversations, the laughter, the feeling of being seen. Let's fix that. Reach out to one friend, not on social media. Call her. Invite her for tea. Tell her you've been thinking about her. Join a group, a book club, a walking group, a community garden. Not because you have to, but because connection is nourishment. Even if you're shy, even if you feel awkward, I promise you, someone else is waiting for a kind soul like you to show up too. We are wired for belonging. Don't wait for someone to come knock on your door. Be the one who knocks. The door will open. Tool number 4, create something that lasts. This phase of your life is rich with wisdom, stories, insights. Don't let them disappear. Start a small project that reflects your life, your legacy, your love. You could make a scrapbook, write a family recipe book, record a voice message for each grandchild, write a letter to your younger self. You're not doing this for applause. You're doing it because it matters, because it leaves something behind that says, I was here, I lived, I loved. Your story is important. Share it. Tool number 5. Anchor your day in small acts of purpose. Every day doesn't have to be exciting, but it can be meaningful. Think about one thing, just one, that gives your day shape. It could be a daily walk, a phone call with someone you care about, reading a chapter of a book, cooking a new recipe, watering your plants with intention. These small anchors become the structure that holds you, and over time, they become the habits that bring light back into your life. Gentle reminders along the way. Now, let me remind you of something very important. You don't have to do all of this at once. Rediscovery is not a race. It's not a competition. It's not something to win. It is a process of gently returning to yourself. Some days, you'll feel inspired. Other days you won't. That's okay. This is not about perfection. It's about presence. And remember, nothing you do to take care of your spirit is wasted. Every small act of awareness, creativity, connection, or self-kindness is a seed. And those seeds, they grow quietly, steadily, beautifully. This phase of life is not empty. It is fertile. And you, dear friend, are just beginning to bloom. 5. What your heart is really asking for. Now that we've talked about what you can do with your time, your rituals, passions, connections, and creativity, let's pause and go a little deeper. Because rediscovery isn't just about filling your calendar. It's also about listening. Listening to something many of us have ignored for a long time, the quiet voice inside. So I want to ask you a question, and I want you to take a moment with it. What are you truly afraid of right now? Not the usual worries about finances or health insurance or even aging. I mean the deeper things, the ones we often don't have words for. Maybe you're afraid of becoming invisible, of being seen as past your prime, of being left out of conversations, gatherings, decisions. You used to feel important, like the glue holding everything together. And now, you feel like the background. Or maybe your fear is more private. Maybe you're afraid that time is moving too fast, that there are still things you wanted to do, but you're not sure if you'll get the chance. Maybe you regret not doing them sooner. Maybe you fear it's too late. Some women tell me they're afraid of losing their independence. Others are afraid of losing their voice, their spark, their identity. And most carry the quiet fear that they're somehow not doing this season right, that if they were stronger or more motivated, they'd be making more of this time. If any of that sounds like you, please hear me clearly. You are not alone. These fears are not signs of weakness. They are signs of depth, of awareness, of having lived fully and now wondering what it means to live differently. But I want to tell you something that might surprise you. You're not behind. You're not too late. You have not missed your chance. In fact, right now, today, you are more available than ever to live with depth, with intention, with freedom. Because you've done the hard work. You've raised your children, built a home, supported your family. You've given and given. And now the question is not what do others need from me, but what do I need from myself? That's a powerful question, so I encourage you to answer it. Take a piece of paper or open a note on your phone and write this down. What does my heart long for? Not just what you want to do, but what you want to feel. Do you want to feel useful again? Joyful? Curious? Strong? Loved? Now write this next line. What's one gentle thing I can do this week to honor that feeling. Maybe it's reaching out to someone. Maybe it's signing up for something. Maybe it's turning off the news and turning on music you used to love. Maybe it's simply whispering to yourself, I still matter. And you do. So in this moment, I want to invite you to connect, not just with me, but with other women watching this video. In the comments below, share one fear that's been sitting quietly in your heart, and then share one hope that you're still holding on to. Because what you'll find when you do that is something beautiful. You'll realize that you're not the only one, that your story echoes in the lives of others, and that in sharing, in speaking, in being seen, you've already begun your rediscovery. Not someday, not later, right now. This is just the beginning. So here we are together at the end of this video, but not at the end of anything important. In fact, what if this was the beginning of something quietly extraordinary? If you've come this far, it tells me something beautiful about you. It tells me that your heart is still open, that somewhere inside, you know there is more, that even though life has changed, maybe more than you ever expected, you're still searching, still curious, still willing to grow. That alone is powerful. You see, rediscovery doesn't have a finish line. It's not something you accomplish or check off a list. It's a way of being, a way of seeing your own life with softer eyes, with gratitude, with grace, with courage. You're not behind. You're not done. You're not someone who's been put out to pasture. You're a woman in her prime, not because of age, but because of wisdom, because of lived experience, because of everything you've endured and everything you've learned along the way. The world doesn't always celebrate women in this phase of life, but that's their loss. What they miss is what I see in you right now, a deep well of insight, a beautiful capacity for joy, an inner strength built through years of showing up for others. And now, you get to show up for you. Maybe today you feel inspired. Maybe you feel emotional. Maybe you still feel a little lost. All of that is welcome. All of that is human. This work, this rediscovery, isn't linear. Some days will feel full of clarity. Others might feel quiet or even confusing. But each step you take, even the smallest one, is sacred. One cup of water in the morning, one phone call to a friend, one paragraph in a journal, one brave yes to something that scares you a little. That's where rediscovery begins. In these small, intentional choices to live awake, to live with meaning, to stop waiting and start being. You're not too old to start something new. You're not too late to love deeply. You're not past your purpose. You're exactly where you're meant to be. And if no one has said it to you in a while, let me be the one to remind you. You are still radiant. You're still relevant. You're still becoming. So as we close, I want you to say this to yourself, not as a wish, but as a truth. I am still here, and there is more for me. More connection, more laughter, more beauty, more discovery. And it starts with one decision: to believe that this season of your life is not the end of your story. It is the beginning of a new one. Thank you for spending this time with me. Thank you for listening with an open heart. And thank you for being part of this quiet, powerful community of women who are rediscovering themselves together. If this message moved you, I invite you to join us. Subscribe to this channel. Leave a comment. Share what touched your heart. Tell us your hopes, your fears, your rediscovery dream. Let this be a space where women support women, where we say to each other, I see you, I hear you, I'm walking this road too. Because you are not alone, and this, right here, right now, is just the beginning.